Got my hot spot. Let's go. Getting a call. Hello.
Hi, AKC. It's Maria from B&H.
How you doing, Maria? How you been?
Good. I just heard you just finished up shooting a video for NBA 2K20, so I wanted to call you up and ask you 21 questions. Do you have time?
Yeah, I have time. I'm just in the my court, practicing on my jumper.
Awesome. All right, let's get started.
Alrighty, let me go ahead and switch out this screen.
Okay.
All right, and we are good to go.
Awesome. So, what exactly were you shooting?
I was shooting a tutorial video showing people that my dribbles and jump shot hasn't faltered without playing for a couple days. Usually you're supposed to stay up on top of things with practicing because, within a few days you can lose your timing, you know what I mean? Your dribble can slip and you can always forget your jumper. It's like one of the things that happens to a lot of players.
Right. So many of our audience may be a little new to who you are and what you do. So can you explain exactly what it is that you do?
Well, I'm a content creator all around. I've been a YouTuber for 10 plus years, ever since NBA 2K11 came out. And over the years, I've done odd things like become a streamer. I've streamed on the YouTube platform. I've streamed on the Twitch platform. And I'm currently streaming on Facebook Gaming's new platform.
Wow, cool.
I actually came in on day one on their platform, and it's been an amazing experience. Coming into something on a ground level is something that I never thought I would have the chance to do. Usually we always find out about these platforms after they blow up, but being on Facebook Gaming is pretty dope.
I know what you do is from home. So has this recent quarantine affected your workflow at all or not really?
Actually, the quarantine has literally made my workflow even more. I think now I do get enough sleep, but at the same time I game more, I record more, I stream more. So in a sense, this is like the gamer's dream, the content creator's dream, the streamer's dream, you know what I mean?
So what sparked your interest in video games in general? What was the first game and system you played on?
Wow, this is gonna go back to my heyday when I was a kid. Actually, I had a Nintendo. I believe it was the first Nintendo that came out, and the game that was my favorite game actually was Metroid. A lot of people went for Mario because Mario was so cool and so popular back then, but I was a Metroid guy, man. I was into shooting enemies and flipping over boxes and all kinds of stuff, just going through different levels. So for me, I guess in a sense I've always been into shooter games, but essentially I think I went over to sports games just because it gave me more of that nostalgic feel since I'm a big sports fan.
Right. And how did you transition from just playing to content creation on YouTube and social media? What was your first video?
Wow. I'll never forget this. This is funny. So basically one day I was playing, I believe, NBA 2K10, and one of my friends was like, hey, we should record what we do. You know what I mean? We should somehow figure out how we can record our highlights, our games, something like that. And, I took his advice and I said, you know what? Why not try it? So one day I just pulled my phone out. It was I believe a Google G1 or HTC G1, one of those old school, like new age, crazy phones. So I pulls the phone out. Obviously I'm not talking because I'm scared to death. I hold it up to the screen and it's recording my highlights from an NBA 2K11 game. And I was like, ooh, I really like this. It's pretty dope. So as you're sharing that content with your friends over MySpace, yes, this was MySpace days, everyone. It was pretty dope. And then eventually he said, why don't you try YouTube? And then I said, why not? So one day I was getting a shoe deal from the NBA 2K11, my career, and I actually recorded it and the video blew up. Wow. Until this day, I don't know how I got over 100,000 views on this one video. And I recorded it with a cell phone. It was insane.
Wow. And so did your family and friends think you were crazy to really end up pursuing this?
Believe it or not, my wife was always in my corner with whatever dream that I had. But when it came to my immediate family and some of my cousins and uncles and aunts and, even grandparents, they just didn't understand. They were older. They were still getting used to this whole internet world. My mom, she didn't get a cell phone until like mid 2000s, you know what I mean? So when it came down to just having my family understand, it was more so my younger cousins understood.
Right.
So while I started out maybe 10 years ago, maybe my 10-year-old cousins and everything like that were like, "Ooh, that's really cool, he gets to play video games and upload content," whereas though my older cousins was like, "Boy, if you don't get a job," so.
And so what's your gaming setup now? What do you normally use?
Oh man, well right now my setup is 2 massive Elgato green screens behind me and a ton of tech on the table. So of course I have the Go XLR because I need to mess with and manipulate all of my audios. I have the Stream Deck so I control mostly everything that has to do with my programs on my PC. I have 2 4K monitors, a PlayStation 4, a Xbox One. I have a gaming PC, a gaming laptop. I literally have a crazy insane Lumix GH5 as my webcam, a blue microphone baby bottle mic, and Elgato key lights to light the entire scene. So I have so much tech around me, I think I might be a robot. I don't know.
And can you tell us a little bit about the process and how you create your videos?
Well, everything starts with the notepad. So when I first started YouTube, it was more so pen and paper. And I used to just write down what would be cool to upload. I've always been someone to upload what I like. And if the fans like it and they rock with me, they'll respond in comments and they'll tell me what they think on social media. So it's always been a pen and pad. Nowadays it's more so my iPhone. I pull out my iPhone, I open up Notepad, and I just, after scrolling on social media for about 5 minutes, you always get inspired. So recently I've been uploading NBA 2K21 news videos and also opinionated videos about NBA 2K and their practices.
Right.
So usually I'll start with that. I'll jot down a few things. Then I'll say to myself, is this one of those videos where you want to talk about it by yourself, or do you want to talk with your friends? Because everyone loves multiple opinions, because sometimes if you seem like that guy that always give your opinion and it's always your way or the highway, a lot of people don't really like that. They want to have a conversation. So
I guess that brings us to my next question. What's your favorite part of your work?
yeah. So yeah, it's always been about interaction with me. If anybody will tell you, when I started out streaming, YouTube just had started it. It was one of those things where your channel had to actually meet like a certain criteria. And when I started streaming, I'm literally the guy to, if someone says hi, I say hi back. If someone says, how's your day? I'll tell them how my day is and then ask them how theirs is. After doing that like 7 to 15 times straight, people will be like, okay, bro, you don't have to answer every single person, but I feel like I do. You know what I mean? Because remember, we're all gamers. We're all from, it may be a different genre, all different walks of life, but really, people watch gaming content for a release, for a getaway, you know what I mean? And if I could provide an experience where people feel like they know me and I know them, we can become a small family, you know what I mean? And it's been like that since I started YouTube, so
yeah, and I think that makes the gaming community much more unique.
Yes, for sure. I believe that when it comes to the gaming community, whether it's yours or someone else's, you always have to respect what the fans have to say about it. So what I tend to do is I tend to game many different video games. I don't just play one game. Most people that are YouTubers, some find their niche in one game. Some people find their niche in many different walkthrough games. But what I tend to do as a streamer, I like to see a different pool with every couple of days. Like say I play NBA 2K for 2 days straight. I know what type of fans I'm going to get inside that comment section. And then if I play Apex Legends for a day, it might be a couple people that were into the NBA 2K, but it'll be a whole nother pool of people that like Apex, want to play Apex, and they're like, yo, run this setup. Hey, let me run with you. And I have a Discord where any fan can come to my Discord, at me, reach out to me, have a question about anything, and I'll always get back to them in that Discord. So it's things like that. Like I've recently started Call of Duty. I'm not that great at it on Warzone, but I'm pretty good on multiplayer. And I didn't know how insane the Call of Duty gaming community was, because, we've always had that, hey, this game is trash, and, people might not like it for a year. But man, this year people are loving Call of Duty. And I seen that when I popped up in the stream a few days ago. I think I had about 300 to 400 concurrent viewers on Facebook Gaming. I was like, wow, I averaged that on 2K. I can't believe people are watching Call of Duty that much. So hey, maybe I'll throw in a Call of Duty stream once or twice a week now, you know what I mean, and just bring those people back over. So it's really dope.
That's great. And so you seem to have managed to get a huge following on YouTube and other social channels. Did you ever think that you could take gaming to this level?
To tell you the truth, no. When I started out on YouTube, holding my phone to the screen was just about all I knew. I knew that my crew for NBA 2K11 was going to be the only people to watch these videos. And then eventually there were others, and I was like, wow, like, okay. And over time, they helped me. You know what I mean? People, they first said, hey, the quality of the video is okay for now, but you should talk more. So I started talking, and then people said, hey, the cell phone era is over. Maybe you should get like a Dazzle or HD PVR. So I did that. Then they went with, okay, well, maybe you should get a mic. Then I did that. And then eventually I have this insane setup where it's high quality, and I just love to give content to people because that's what I'm into. You know what I mean? Like I just love making content and having people just see it. You know what I mean? Even if it's just one person, I feel like reaching one person is dope because you start a conversation somewhere.
That's great. And so what are a couple tips for somebody looking into getting into gaming content creation like you?
The first tip is, if you want to get into gaming content creation, don't just come in it for the money. I know that there are a lot of creators out there that get into it. They say, hey, I heard that people are making a quick buck out of it. And what ends up happening is you might not see the type of growth that you thought you might have seen within a short period of time, and then you quit. You know what I mean? You should be doing gaming content creation because you love it. The game that you play, you should love, or games. Also, when it comes to a setup, your setup does not have to be like mine. Your setup does not have to be a high couple $1,000 setup. You can start off with a small laptop or even a Mac. I say Mac is the best computer to start out with because it's the easiest. If you get yourself like a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro, you can put boot camp on that device. Now, Final Cut Pro to me is the best editing software I've ever seen in my life. But on the PC side, Streamlabs OBS is the best streaming software I've ever seen. So being able to boot camp maybe 1/4 of your hard drive space for Windows is perfect. You know what I mean? And then you can go and get yourself maybe a Blue Snowball mic, no more than $40. You can go get yourself a Logitech webcam. I believe it's no more than $80. And then right there, you have your gaming setup. I know you already have your console, and if you want to get into PC gaming, that's a whole nother conversation, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah. And so let's switch up the questions a little bit. So I know you have a busy house. What was for breakfast this morning?
For me, water, actually. After cooking the kids breakfast, all I could do was juggle down a little bit of water, because sometimes my schedule just has to start recording or start streaming or start spitballing and being on a whiteboard or my notepad trying to figure out what the next piece of content or the next stream that I'm going to be setting up. And also, intermittent fasting is needed for gamers. I'm a big proponent of it, because what tends to happen is, as gamers, you go down that rabbit hole of 8 to 15 hours of just gaming, and within that 8 to 15 hours, you need something quick. So chips is like a big grab. People like cakes, people like juice, you know what I mean? So next thing you know, you might gain more pounds than you've had in recent years. So intermittent fasting for me is really, really good. I think I don't eat until maybe 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. around that time. And just drinking water is really good for me. Like, I'll call one of the kids down, say, hey, can you bring me a water? Or I'll ask my wife, like, if I know I'm hungry, I'll say, babe, I'm going to need something at this time. And then she'll just have it brought down to me.
That's great.
It's really, really easy.
That's awesome. And so what's your favorite game ever?
Wow. My favorite game ever. Wow, this is gonna be hard because I am a sports creator, but when it comes to my favorite game ever, it's gonna have to be Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
And then what about your favorite game right now?
My favorite game right now is Apex Legends. I cannot lie. I know it sounds crazy coming from a sports creator, but when it, like I said, when I was younger, I just was into shooter games. You know what I mean? Any little bit of time that I get from just creating content to be able to just hop online and play those shooters, it's an immediate release. I think I don't rage as much on shooter games. I think I have a lot more fun because most of the time I don't just go online by myself. I go online with my friends. And the reason that I started content creation, I started it with my friends and I still play with my friends. So I think that is something that really, like, I guess deep down gets me, you know what I mean? And it keeps me going.
All right. And so I know you have kids. Do they ever help you with any of your videos?
Yes, my son, he's a proponent Fortnite god. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. So his name is iPodKingCarter on YouTube, and I'm gonna tell you now, he made one of the little wooden walls disappear. Like, that's how good he is, and he does it on PC with a controller. Wow. So he scares me. Like, I can't play Fortnite with him. Well, I mean, I could play with him, but I wouldn't want to go against him. Like, I tell him to carry me in duos anytime. And he really does help me, though. Like, if I have to do, like, a review video, we recently did a video where I was reviewing, like, noise canceling headphones, and him screaming in his room is worse than me screaming in my office. so I try to put those on, or I give them to my daughter or my wife and say, hey, listen, you can watch a movie without him having to scream in your ear all day. So it's pretty dope.
And how many systems have you owned in total ever? Can you quickly list them?
Wow. Okay, so Nintendo, Sega Genesis for sure, GameCube for about a month. I didn't have a Nintendo 64, which sucked. I had the first PlayStation, I had PS2, I had PS3, I had Xbox 360, I had PS4, I had the original, the Slim, and the Pro. I still have the Xbox One X, and I'm hoping to get the PS5. Xbox Series X, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm gonna get it.
And if you weren't a YouTube content creator, what would you be?
If I wasn't a YouTube content creator, I'll most likely be an entrepreneur of some sort. When I first came out of high school, I was on my way to college, but my cousin had let me know that there was a job at the airport, and usually most people that work at the airport, they usually use that job as a segue for any other business because of being able to travel for free and everything like that. So I believe I still would be doing something in the entrepreneurial field as far as like content or tech, you know what I mean? Something along those lines for sure.
And what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. I believe it would probably be from my dad. Basically when I was probably 14 years old and I was getting my working papers and going out into the working field, he told me to always remember to pay your way, which is like pay your taxes, and to make sure that you save for a rainy day. And saving for a rainy day to some may just mean like, okay, well, maybe if you get a flat tire or something like that. But in this gaming industry, a rainy day could be something like a whole entire new generation of consoles. Whereas though, when a new generation of consoles come out, like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, everything has to be upgraded. So in the next couple of months, I'll be needing new monitors, which will have to be at least 144 hertz. I will be needing a new streaming PC, which probably will need a 2070 Super or higher graphics card. Going to need SSD hard drives only, you know what I mean? So things like that. Those rainy day funds really come into handy when you need $1,000 of setup gear and stuff like that to keep up with the next generation of gaming for sure.
All right, that's good advice. And if there were to be a movie about your life, who would play you?
Wow. Honestly, Kevin Atwater. I would have him play me in my if I need a biopic, like I would definitely call Kevin Atwater immediately and say, hey bro, listen, I need you to put on a little bit more pounds. I need you to, shave your head bald, grow a crazy beard, and I need you to go in, man. I need you to do it, man.
And aside from your gaming system, what's your favorite piece of gear?
My favorite piece of gear would have to be, and I'm looking all around the table right now, my Go XLR, for sure.
Awesome. And then last question.
Yeah.
Who should we interview next?
Believe it or not, I believe that you should interview the Sales Squad, for sure.
Okay.
Basically it's a team of people that I game with on a day-to-day. You can actually look them up. I believe it's twitch.tv/Sales Squad, and they have Oraunchy, 3MG Live, Trey, and X Chase Money TV. We are all gamers, all content creators, all streamers, and we've been doing it for a little while now. Me and X Chase Money have known each other for 10 years, and we just, had people come in and play with us, and eventually those people that came in to play games with us became content creators because they saw what we were doing, and it wasn't like oh, well, we want to just game with this person for a handout. No. We created a family, a brotherhood. You know what I mean? We invite all kinds of people into the Sales Squad at any given time.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for answering all of my questions. I'll let you go and get right back into work.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much.